Hi, welcome back to another week with Learn Hmong with Lisa. I am Lisa and I am going to go over the complicated and confusing vocabulary when it comes to the Hmong family. Nuno be yo so right? It is so complicated, and I feel like when we were young it was easy because your parents just tell you who people are, and their title, their role, right, how they were connected to you. But as you get older, you find out there's words that you're like, why are there so many titles to one person? There's like different terms for, if you're male or female, in regards to age, or birth order, that hierarchy. And so I will try my best to explain the family system. It's complex because we are a patriarchal community, and or culture, and so that's part of the reason why you will come to find that there are certain terms for certain things, more than others, and there's more complexity in regards to the male side of the family, in a sense, than there is to the female side of the family, and you'll understand what I mean once we get into this. So let's just jump right in, right? And so we already learned the word for me, myself, and I, or my, or mine, even, and that word is gu, right? Gu. And so gu janing, 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 janing. J means house, and ning means people or person. And so janing is the people in your house or your household, basically, aka your family, your fam bam, familia, whatever. And so that is what janing is. And so in your janing you have nia, nia. Nia means mom, and nia could also mean like the female counterpart, or just female in general. It depends what you're using it for. Tzi, 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 thaw, saw, zaw, tzi, tx, again double consonants. Thaw, saw, zaw, tzi, tzi. So that's father, dad, papa, pops, what have you. That is dad. I think I call my dad. So that's what I use. And I don't call, I think I call my mom, or nia. I don't really say tzi. I don't think I ever really used the word tzi in Hmong to address my father. I've always used dad. Anyways, so that's mom, and that's dad in Hmong. So let's start with the next part, would be children, right? So guya itun chai, I am a daughter. Guya itun chai, chai, gu nie gu chi mo, all tun chai. Okay, we learned numbers last week. So all means two. All tun chai, two. Tu is a measure word. So all tun chai. So my parents had two daughters. I have a younger sister, and obviously I'm the older sister. And then I also have two brothers, and so my mom and my dad had atu, okay? Again, atu, two, tu, tu. So tu. So tu and tu sound exactly the same, different tone, okay? So atu, tu, two, tu is a measure word. Tu is sons. Sons. We don't do plurals in our language. It's just understood in reference to how you use whatever it is that you are using. So tu and chai, son and daughter. Now, in reference to brothers and sisters, this is where it starts to get complicated, okay? So I will use my family as an example. So this is a picture, it's an old picture from 2000 of my siblings and I. There's only 4 of us total. So birth order, my brother, me as the second, and then my younger brother is the third oldest, and my sister is the baby. She's obviously the 4th child. And so I have one older brother, I have one younger brother, and I have a younger sister. And so in regards to how we address each other in Hmong, my brothers address us as sisters as their mua. 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 We are their mua. Mua. Okay, they're sisters. There's only one word for them. Likewise, we address our brothers as nu. 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 One word. Okay, it's just one word. Nu. You might hear the word nu mo. Nu mo. Nu mo, which typically is equivalent of siblings. So ne cho nu mo mo be ling. Ne cho nu mo mo be ling. How many brothers and sisters do you have, or how many brothers and sisters total is there in your family? And so nu mo. Now if you recognize nu mo here, mo, the tone changed. The word sister, mo, if you see there, it has a different tonal marker. It's an M. And in nu mo, it changed into a G. I think it's partially because it's just prettier to say than nu mo. Nu mo. It sounds weird for me when I say that, nu mo. So you would say nu mo, okay? Again, I don't have all the explanations. I just know that's just what it is. When girls address each other, so when my sister addresses me, I am the older sister and she's the younger sister. So there's a hierarchy in our culture, and titles and hierarchy mean everything. And so the younger sister, my sister, instead of saying my name, would typically have to address me by my ranking or my title, right? So I am Nia Lao, Nia Lao, Nia Lao, Nia, female indicator. Lao means older, Lao, older, or elder, but not really elder because I'm not that much older than her. So Nia Lao, right? So that's usually someone you address who is typically around your age, but just a tad bit older, but not quite auntie status, if that makes sense. Now, how I address my sister would be same thing, female indicator, Nia, Nia Hluo, Nia Hluo, Nia Hluo, Ha La Hlo, or Hluo. Okay, so again, double consonants there. It's really subtle, but there is an H there at the beginning. If you really listen closely, maybe with your eyes shut, however you want to do this, you will hear that H. So it's not near hlo, it's near hlo, hlo. You almost have to breathe out when you are pronouncing that prior to the ow, if that makes any sense. So near hlo, near lao, okay? Sons or with brothers, it's the same thing. They actually have two different words because the ranking among them is based on birth order. And so my brothers, my younger brother would address my older brother as Ti Lao, Ti Lao, Ti Lao, right? Ti Lao, Ti Lao. Lao is another word for like older. I think it's just out of it sounding prettier than Ti Lao, Ti Lao. Like saying that just makes me kind of like, I don't know if you can see, but I'm processing because it doesn't sound right. And so ti lo sounds better. It's easier on the tongue, in other words. And so ti is someone older than you. It's understood as someone that's older than you. And then my older brother would end up referring to his younger brother, or our younger brother, as his gu, 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 gu. Fun fact, so the V as a tonal marker at the end, if you follow it, it actually kind of dips. The word kind of dips in regards to the pitch or the tone. And so gu, it kind of does that, but it's short and it goes back up. So gu. And then a fun fact, in Chinese, it's similar to the tone, the third tone. Many times in a family or within the clan, you'll hear people say gu jiao gu di, right? Gu jiao gu di, gu jiao gu di, gu di. So gu, again, we learned, is the younger brother, and then di is the older brother. So gu di. So gu jiao gu di. So when I refer to gu jiao gu di, I mean, technically it means your family in a sense, but it really means your clan. So I'm from the Yang clan, so gu jiao gu di would only really refer to my Yang clan, even though my mom's from the Vu clan. So it omits that matriarchal side. It only refers to your patriarchal side. This is why I say we are very deeply rooted in our patriarchy system, because it runs in everything, even in our language and how we refer to things and how we term things. I think I'm gonna jump generations. So that's your nuclear family, right? Your nuclear family. But what about grandpa and grandma? So that's gonna look very different depending on which side of the family, your patriarchal side and your matriarchal side. And I think I will start with mom, our matriarchs out there. And so shout out to our matriarchs, because they do a lot for us, and they do not get enough recognition and kudos and credit and anything else that they deserve. When referring to our grandparents from our mother's side, or from, Benia, Betsy, or Benia, the matriarch, right? Then your grandmother, you refer to her as Nia, Thai, Nia, Thai. Again, that female figure is always going to be around. Nia, right? Nia, Thai, Nia, Thai. Nia Thai. Thai is also another word for like plate. I don't know if there's any like correlation, but yeah, Nia Thai. For your grandfather on your matriarch side, it would be Yawg, Yawg, Yawg. Literally, it means to like what is that, like, scoop fruit. Scoop fruit, if you really want to like literally put it. At least those are the terms I know. But yo is grandpa, and then si again is that father figure. So si, okay, si. So that's grandma and grandpa on your mother's side. Now, if your mom had brothers and sisters, that would look different in regards to auntie and uncle, or aunt and uncle. And so your uncle, regardless of where they fall in the birth order and their hierarchy, the word is da lo, da lo, da lo, da lo. Da lo is uncle, and it's understood that it's, again, from the mom side because of the term that you use. There's no difference in regards to age there, because again, this is your matriarch. They're not wanting to know the specifics. It's just known like it's your mom's brother, and that's it. Now, if your mom's brother is married and you have an auntie, then you refer to her as Nia Dalo, Nia that low. This is also a form of patriarchy. As you see, she doesn't even have a term to herself. She's just Nia, the mother figure of that low. Okay, so she's the mom version of your uncle, which would be your auntie, right? Now, if your mom had a sister, that would just be one term. So your mom's sisters, no matter the birth order, would be considered like grandma. They would be your thigh, okay? Your thigh, your thigh, your plate, your thigh, okay? Thigh. So thigh nza, thigh nia, thigh chu, thigh ba, thigh hli, thigh nu, thigh Thai, right? Those are all your aunties, your aunt, okay? And so so most times if you might see some people interchange and use near thigh and thigh the same. But most times when you say thigh, you are indicating your auntie, unless someone specifies, oh, my mom's mom, or okay? So sometimes and I feel like, this is my own personal opinion, I feel that's because of wordplay and patriarchy. It's like we don't really care, so we'll just lump them all the same, because it's just from your mom's side, it's not from your dad's side. So I forgot to mention that 有级 we learned this earlier. It also means maternal grandfather or grandpa. It also means your aunt's, your thai's husband. So when you refer to him, it is also 有级. And so from the patriarchy side, your dad's side of the family, in our culture, that means everything. In the Hmong community, that means everything, because the lineage of our families are based off of the male side. The clan system and the last name, your lineage comes from your patriarch, your dad's side of the family. So my last name, and I belong to the Yang clan because my dad is a Yang. I would never belong to the Vu clan that my mom is from, because she's not the head of household, head of the clan. My dad is, and he has the lineage, and that will change when I marry out of the clan. So if I marry and in this case another Hmong person, then I will be taking on their clan. The only way for me to even be counted as the Vu clan is if I end up marrying someone who's in the Vu clan. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. What to call your dad's side of the family. So in regards to grandma and grandpa, grandma is ba. Ba. It's not pog. It's ba, right? Ba. Ba. Okay? And it's just one simple word, okay? Ba. You don't need a female indicator in there. It's just known, and so I feel like that's maybe a patriarchy thing. I have no clue. But I just find it very interesting that you don't need a female indicator there as you do in Thai. Where here it's omitted and it's not near ba, it's just ba. Sometimes people do say near ba, but that totally means a totally different thing. But we'll get to that. And then for grandpa, yo. So again, one word, yo, yo, ba, tia yo. Ba, tia yo. So when you say ba and yo, it's understood that it's from your dad's side of the family. So like in English, when you say your grandma, your grandpa, a lot of times people have to guess who you're talking about. But in our language, you know exactly, like, oh, that's my dad's dad or my mom's dad, okay? So moving on, he's got brothers and sisters. So if he has any sisters, there's only one term, because patriarchy, you really only need to identify that you only have that you have sisters, and you don't need to know the birth order. And so your aunties from your dad's side are called your po. And her husband, which would be your uncle, would be called Yo Lao. Yo Lao. Yo Lao. Now, we've heard Yo already. Yo is like your grandpa, but for some reason it's like grandpa old. That's kind of the literal term. I don't know why, but it just is. So Yo Lao. Yo Lao. And your po are your auntie and uncle from your dad's side of the family. Now, when it comes to his brothers and your uncles, there's two terms, and it can get confusing if you don't know birth order. But technically, you can kind of, if you listen enough, you'll know and you'll figure out who's older based off of what your parents call this uncle, this person, or their wife if they're married. And so, any uncles who are older than my dad, he refers to them as his what? His tilo, right? His tilo. And so if I hear that and I know that growing up, I will automatically know that I have to call him hlo, 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 tsi hlo. Sometimes people just say tsi hlo. A lot of times people omit the tsi, the male indicator, and they just say hlo, right? And if he's married, your auntie who's married to him, you would call nia hlo, right? Nia hlo. Again, she has no term, no name, no new name. She just takes on his title, and you throw a female indicator in there, and you're good to go. Nia hlo, right? Nia hlo. Now, if the uncle is younger than my dad, and my dad calls him, well, typically my dad would just call him by his name. If he's younger, no, you don't normally call someone your gu. You refer to them as your gu. And so, what is it? If they are younger, then they are jinzhe, 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 ji. Now that is there as your male indicator, and then zhe. Usually zhe in Hmong it's a Hmong name, typically given to the daughter who is the youngest, gongzhe, right? So, and it usually means youngest. So I'm assuming this means like so zi in Hmong, if I didn't mention it earlier, zi means fruit, or like seedlings of something. Well, yeah, fruit. So I'm assuming that this would mean like your jinzhe is typically your youngest, therefore they're like the last seeds, if that makes sense. That's my like comprehension of it all, and how I understand or make sense of it. So that's not probably what it is, but it's how I make sense of it, and it works. So it's jinzhe, right? Jinzhe. So your auntie who's married to your jinzhe would be nianzhe, okay? Nianzhe. And a lot of times you don't normally say, for instance, I have a uncle from my dad's side who's younger than my dad, and his name is Josh. Josh. So I would address him as Tsi Josh. Tsi Josh. For a Hmong name, let's just pretend I have an uncle who is older than my dad, and his name is Sang, right? So hlo Sang, right? Hlo Sang, hlo Sang, okay? So when I address him, I can just say hlo. Again, you don't really need the names. You can just address them by their titles. So hlo, right? Nuno ko orachi. What are you doing today? Or you normally wouldn't say tsi when it's someone younger. You would actually use their name because your dad is already tsi. So when you say tsi and you omit the name for a younger uncle, it sounds a little weird, and I feel very uncomfortable saying it, trying to think of my uncles who are younger than my dad. So you would say like zi no, or zi pia, zi lao, zi I'm trying to think of all these other names, but you would address their name then. It's usually the older one because out of more, I don't know, they're older, you need to respect them more, and so you can maybe omit their names there. It's not as complex as I'm making it come to sound, but part of it is also like, if you don't come from the culture, then you have no clue what I'm talking about. Or if you don't like have any references to the culture, you might come from it, but maybe you don't have references because you don't speak it, or you don't maybe have family, so you don't have a chance to really hear these kind of things. The next thing is if you are an in-law. Let's say I have sister and brother-in-laws, and so I think I will stop there for today. So earlier we talked about kuti and ne lao, ne hluas, du mo, right? And so let's say if my brothers were married, I would call my sister-in-laws my nya, nya, no, yo, nyo, nya, right? Nya. It doesn't matter the birth order, and it doesn't matter like anything like that. They're just simply my nya. Now, if I have a older sister who's married, this is where my ranking comes into play. If I have an older sister, then I would refer to the brother-in-law in regards to how my relation is to my sisters. So because it's my older sister, she is my nia lao, right? So I would call her husband tsi, indicating male figure, tsi lao. Now the funny thing here is he could be older or younger than me, and it doesn't matter. The relation is in regards to my sister. So he could be actually younger than me, and I would still have to call him tsi lao. Okay, that's the weird part. But again, it doesn't matter about him per se. It's about his relation to the family, and it comes from my sister who is older than me. Now, what I call my younger sister is again nia hluas, right? Nia hluas. And she is married, because I don't have an older sister. So she is married, and her husband, I refer to him as tsi hluas. Again, male indicator, and then kind of where he, I don't know, where he kind of fits in there. So hluas, right? So because he's married to my younger sister, I have to address him according to my younger sister. So tsi hluas. He's actually my age, so technically when you are of the same age, this stuff kind of I don't want to say it's disregarded, but you are seen as like the same playing level field. I feel this is very similar in Korean culture, and so we do really just address each other by name. But because he's my sister's husband, I have to respect that and respect his position and respect that he's married to her. And so I would never call him Vang. That's a very American thing to do. But if I do that, it's almost like out of disrespect to him and to his parents and to my sister, to my parents. Yeah. So it's Sihua, okay? Now, if we're really chill, and let's say we were friends prior and it wasn't a big deal, maybe it's not a big deal and I can call him, Vang, but I feel like even then I would feel a little weird about it. So that's your brother-in-laws from a sister side, and in-laws from your sister, from the female side. Now, in regards to in-laws from the male side, so my brothers would end up calling my sister and I, if I was to get married, our husbands yo yi. Now we already learned yo, right? Yo yi. Yo grandpa from mom's side, and I'm not sure what yi is, so it's just yo yi, right? So again, birth order, birth rank, whatever, it doesn't matter there. It's all going to be yo yi. Now, for my brothers, it'll be very similar to the auntie, uncle from the patriarchy, from the patriarchal side. And so my younger brother would refer to my older brother's wife as nieti, because he is the tilo, right? So it's again female, a twist, female indicator, so nia, right? And then whatever ranking or title you have ti, because you're married to the tilo. So ti. For the tilo, to address the goose wife, you would say, it would be very similar to the uncle and auntie. You would say nianzo, right? Nia, female indicator, and zo, nianzo, okay? Nianzo. So my younger brother would address his older sister-in-law as Nieti, and my older brother would address his younger sister-in-law as Nianzo, right? Nianzo. And then I would just refer to them as my yas. I do have one ya. And then my zihua, and my zilao, if I had a zilao. And then my brothers would refer to our husbands as Yoyi, okay? Yoyi. Now for parents, my mom and my dad would refer to my brother's wives the same as nya, right? Nya so and so. So if it's nya, my brother who is married, nya Chad, and so that is what they would refer them as. Now my sister's the only one that's married for us girls, and so they refer to their son-in-law as Phauj. Phauj, okay? Phauj. Phauj. So Phauj. You can omit names. So you can just say nya, and you can just say Phauj, and it's completely okay. Unless you happen to have like 5 nyas and they're all in the room and you need to, like, you only are talking to one of them, then you might want to throw a name in there. But otherwise, it's pretty understood, unless you want to specify who you want to talk to or who you are referring to. So that is the very complicated clan or family system, not the clan system, but the family system. I did talk a little bit about the clan system there, and how that kind of works in regards to lineage, but I mean, that's really all it is you don't marry in the clan, marry out of the clan if you're female, or male actually, because you can't be of the same clan and marry each other. That's a taboo, no. If you've followed me this far and you're listening to everything, you can hear, at least in what I feel and what I think and my own process of how the language is kind of made and what comes to term, and what you're hearing is a lot of it is very male driven, and it's driven like that for a reason, and or maybe it's not, maybe I'm just making it all up. You decide how you want to interpret that, but that's how I have interpreted it. And again, I'm no expert. I am Hmong, I speak Hmong, or I'm relearning, rediscovering it, but I'm just really sharing information that I feel is hopefully helpful for those of you who are wanting to learn, wanting to relearn, rediscover your native language or learn a new language. And I hope this was helpful. If it is, let me know. If you want to know more, let me know. I'm just really like sharing the things that like are coming off the top of my head. I'm not a historian. I'm not in linguistics or anything. This is just based off of my own knowledge of my own culture and language, and all of that. You can let me know if you want to know other things other than what I've shared so far, and I have a list going of kind of things I want to share and work on. I will eventually get to like the writing system. I'm waiting on that just because I feel like it's hard to do that when you don't have a vocabulary quite yet. So I feel like I want to get a couple of these videos in to build on that with some vocabulary so the writing makes sense a bit. So that's it for this week. It was a lot. I'm so sorry if you were overwhelmed, but you can always go back and catch up on the things that you missed or need to like listen to again. And if I didn't really explain it well enough, I'm very sorry. I'm again not an expert, and so you know, 我先得到古天 and 慢慢的古个天 okay, because 只有那个是古个天 okay. So you know, I'm also learning, and we can learn together. And again, what let me know what you all are thinking and what you all would like to learn next. I appreciate you all watching. Please wear your masks, wash your hands, social distance, and we'll see you next time. Shinji doa, goodbye.